Okay, on this one, I got the same setup here just to get you guys going. I'm kind of recycling the colors, so I've got the same ones there from the previous video. In case you haven't watched it, this is dioxazine purple, ultramarine, hooker's green, naphthol crimson, yellow oxide, primary yellow, and titanium white. And what we have here is the painting that Wendy is working on. And she's asking about the alignment of the house. She's feeling like the rooftop alignment. I'm not seeing a lot of issues with it, but I'm going to show you what I do see that may or may not help it. A lot of it, I think, is coming from the sides not being set up yet of the roof, and so you can use it. I noticed that the trees are not in there yet as well. So you may want to go ahead and start taking the side of the little rectangle brush, which is this one, and you turn it sideways, right? And if you have a newer brush, it's better. But turn it sideways so that it's nice and thin, and you can actually come in on the house, and I'd say an area like right here, and just take a dark color. Of course, I just pulled just purple straight, and just start to pull it over so that you can shadow out some of the house. And of course, that wasn't super effective. I can use the brush to clean and just pull some of that line down, right? So that I can pull some of it off. And of course I'll mix some colors together because it's like a little bit of the dioxazine, a little bit of the, sorry, this is kind of dried up a little bit. I was trying to recycle from earlier. So a little bit of dioxazine, a little bit of yellow oxide, and a little bit of yellow ochre and titanium white. I don't think I can talk right now, I'm sorry. But I'm just going to take a little bit of that house off by adding some of the background color. And I don't think it's so much that the house is big, I just think the shading is not there. Shading's not there yet. So I'm going to take a little bit of a darker color. I can mix what would be a gray. I'm just going to do this down here so I don't have to keep zooming in and zooming out. A little bit of a purple, blue, a little bit of green. Just kind of all the primaries so that I can make my own homemade dark. And then just coming in with that darker color to go ahead and set the background. I think also setting the trees in. So like here on the side, I can just kind of create some straight lines I see where your beginnings are. But I think it's time to go ahead and start entering them in there. And then also this side of the house is probably looking a little long. I like the way that you've handled it, just a little bit of tightening. I can take the corner of this brush and add a little bit more, and then just kind of shade on the edge. The same thing with the awning, or the whatever you want to call it, the easement, the roof. You can pull some of that shading down by mixing the dark color, and this isn't the right color, but we're just focusing on value. I'm going to eliminate that bright white overhang there, and I could probably even push this back by glazing with a little bit more of a shade, and it's going to have more blue in it, more ultramarine. This is a little bit warmer because I'm just kind of recycling that color, but you can see how it's staining the house out a little bit. Then I can clean my brush, and I'll just very gently pull the edge down here so that it's not, such a stark line. But by creating that shadow, it's kind of, if you squint at the original and look at it, I mean, all of that right there is kind of like blurred into one value. So this is just creating a little bit of haze and glaze. And actually your shape, I think in the way that the house is modeled is actually correct. I don't really think there's a problem with it. I think it's just looking probably a little bit more obvious because your eye's still pulled to that light value. And until you get the shading in there, it's not going to kind of edge. So it's just looking like a big, bright thing. So, but watch what happens when I'm going to take a little bit of a brighter value. This is just white. I'm not going to sit here and mix up the color. But if you make the background brighter than the actual house now, the way it is in the picture, you see how it's kind of taking the attention off the structure and making it look a little bit more visually there. And I haven't changed the size of this at all. All I did was redefine your line here on the edge. I didn't cut any of it off. It's just a matter of reworking that a little bit more with value. And then of course I can come up here to get a brighter value in the sky, you know, to duplicate what's there in the image. And my white's getting a little sticky over here. And again, this is a transparency, so it's not going to be like super, but look at the difference when I pull the transparency up. Yeah. Okay, so here it is down one more time. Boom. And so it just creates a little bit more of a darkening there and lets the side of the house be the brightest, the spotlight, which is the way it is here. And then the sky behind it is even brighter. But I can go ahead and start putting those trees in, and then the same thing, I can use the edge of the rectangle brush to kind of sculpt these trees out a little bit brighter if need be, so that I can put some brighter sky in. And of course I wouldn't use like straight white. I mean, make it like a dirt. You can dirty it up by adding some yellow oxide to it, making it kind of a buff color. I'm just kind of doing this really quick just to kind of get a point across. So I'll smut it up a little bit for you. And there's a little bit of red in there that I'm not showing. Okay, and then I can just blend it back into your color. And I can do the same over here if I want. Remember, the sound effects help keep you loose. So anyway, I hope that helps. Otherwise it's looking really good. I know it's probably not as loose as you're wanting it. Make sure that you also knock back some of these values in between the fence. Just do like a wash, the same color that you use here for the easement. Just kind of create a wash over this part of the fence so that one white piece isn't sticking out in your face, right? Okay, but good job. It looks good. Y'all keep working through the holidays, and I'll see you soon.